All right, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Full house. We do have a full house. Good morning, everyone. On my right is Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2. On my left is Commissioner Aaron Mays, who represents District 2. I'm Bill Rippon, and I represent District 1. We also have Rich Eckert, our county counselor, and Jennifer. She's our
Financial administrator.
thank you, Administrator. This is normally our work session, but today it's mainly going to be we're going to use this time for budget hearing. But we are going to have a line item here for public speaking or public comment. We have one person signed up, and we're going to put public comment first on the agenda. So if we have a Colleen Campbell, you could come on up. You're it.
Hi, I generally watch the County Commission on YouTube, but Commissioner Cook asked last week that the public come and talk about the budget in person this week, and so here I am. I don't know if I can stay till 3 o'clock since this meeting is going the whole day, but I would like to suggest a few items while talking about the budget. I'm a geographer who has studied both people and the environment. And this county and city are very interlocked with each other. There's a lot of things that overlap. And I would just like to ask, as you're looking at the budget, to consider a couple of things. One, does this help the people? Is it people focused? Not necessarily departmental focus, but is it people focus? And one of the reasons why I say that is that a lot of times when we look in the past at cities that have declined and areas that have declined, one of the things that has happened is that those cities had shifted their focus, I'm talking broadly, shifted their focus in their urban planning and in their ideas towards departmental things and governmental things and corporations instead of the people. And cities that have declined can come back. They have, there's tons of examples of that as well. Boston's a good example. And one of the things that happened is they've shifted their focus towards helping their people. And looking at how we help individuals and making things better. And I know that that's really broad, but if you can just keep that in mind when you're going through these items, if you can just say, is this a people thing or is this a departmental thing, and are those in conflict with each other? And the other thing that I would also like to ask is, as you're looking at the departments and the budgetary items, if you could see if there's things that do overlap, if there's some things that, this department has this and this department has this, can we maybe put those together somehow? And those are the things that I'm asking. So I appreciate your time and going over the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here and your comments. If you aren't able to stay, or if you are watching at home, all of the budget hearings are recorded individually and they're placed on, and you can also see prior years going all the way back to 2014. So if you want to watch a department for several years and see how things have changed, you're able to do that. We do welcome emails and comments on budgets, and anything that is suggested is always taken under advisement and looked at to see if we can make some of those things work. But the public is not, if you're not able to stay, we understand it, but it is online. So, thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if I mentioned the date today. It's Monday, July 13th, 2026. I am going to move that we go into a budget hearing to discuss the Shawnee County 2027 budget.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Rippon, seconded by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries 3-0. All right, we're going to start with the district attorney's budget. Mike.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Kage, District Attorney for the 3rd Judicial District of Kansas, or as we like to say around here, Shawnee County. I will be brief this morning in my presentation. I don't have a PowerPoint. Over the years, and this is the 10th year now that I have presented a budget request to this body, I've spent a lot of time talking about our mission and our purpose. I'm going to primarily focus on numbers today. And as I have joked in the past, I went to law school so I wouldn't have to deal with numbers in my career, and then I chose a role that would require it. The first number I have for you is 11,000. That is approximately the number of cases that my office handles each year. The next number I have is 25. That is the number of prosecutors who carry a caseload in my office. I'll do the calculation for you. That's approximately 435 new cases per prosecutor each year. That's new cases. And yes, that covers everything. That covers our criminal prosecution, felony, misdemeanor, juvenile offenses, traffic matters, child and care proceedings, appeals, care and treatment proceedings, asset forfeitures, expungements, post-conviction litigation, offender registration relief, coma and core requests, and numerous other legal responsibilities. Each one of those cases requires careful thought, deliberation, legal analysis, ethical considerations, victim communication, court appearances, negotiations, hearings, motion practice, and when necessary, trials. And we have had a number of trials. I'm going to speak about those in summary. So since I was up here last year, through the latter half of 2025, we had a number of trials, and we obtained 15 trial convictions. In those cases, including first-degree murder cases, 2 of which resulted in guilty verdicts on July 28th. We had manslaughter, rape, aggravated indecent liberties, aggravated robbery, DUI cases, first-degree premeditated murder, domestic matters, child endangerment, rape, aggravated criminal sodomy. Going on to 2026, we've had 18 trial convictions so far this year. Those include criminal damage, sexual battery, second-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, manslaughter, aggravated battery, felony murder, aggravated child endangerment, vehicle burglary, voluntary manslaughter, premeditated murder, stalking and official misconduct, aggravated endangerment, and premeditated murder, to name some of them. Now, that is a quick summary of some pretty heavy lifting this office has been doing. Each one of those cases, going back to our public speaker and the point that she made, and I appreciate that, each one of those cases that we handle represents a real person who lives in our community and is affected by this case. Their families are affected by these cases and how we handle them. So we bring every bit of care and diligence and compassion that we can to each one of these matters. Being pressed for time this morning, that is a quick summary. They say that comparison is the thief of joy. However, I don't believe that's going to be true this morning. The comparison I have for you is a comparison between the caseload year over year and the financial resources allocated to execute that caseload between Shawnee County and Wyandotte County. As I mentioned earlier, this is the 10th time I've appeared before this body. Every single time I have, the resources available to my counterparts in Wyandotte County have exceeded mine by roughly 15 to 20%, depending on the year. However, based on publicly available caseload information that you can look up at OJA. They maintain caseload stats. This office handles approximately 30% more cases every year. And so what that shows me, and what I think that shows the public that I serve, is that we are consistently delivering more with less. And that's something I take a lot of pride in, is the efficiency of our operation. I know every year there are questions about vacant positions, so I want to touch on those briefly. As of this morning, we have 3 vacant positions. They're all attorney vacancies. 2 of them are entry-level positions, assistant district attorney roles that we would generally hire someone straight out of law school or with 1 to 3 years of experience. We have made offers on both positions, and they have been accepted by 2 individuals who recently completed their legal internships in our office. So, God willing, they will pass the bar exam in July, and they will be ready to work for us as licensed attorneys by early September. I say God willing because we have, in the past, encountered situations where we've made an offer, it's been accepted, and then someone, unfortunately, does not pass the bar exam. And then, as you know, they can't work for us as licensed attorneys. The other position that we have open is a more senior level attorney role that was vacated by one of our own when he became a judge earlier this year. We did have a 4th position open, but that has been filled as of this morning. We have someone at orientation as we speak. Okay. Let me walk through the numbers on the actual request, and then I'm happy to stand for any questions. So you have the total request in front of you. I would let you know that of that increase that we've requested this year, wages represent $412,681.34. Benefits add on $212,264.46, and the remaining just under $40,000 goes to operating costs, professional services, printing costs, software subscriptions, phone, office supplies, equipment leases, and computer hardware. So year over year, we stand at approximately 95% in personnel costs. Our operating costs are pretty low. There is, again, a small increase in some of these line items, and that's based on higher volume that we've seen over the past year. So with that, I am happy to stand for any questions.
So I know that on our sheet, it says that there is an 8% increase, but from your presentation, you have approximately 625,000 of that increase is just in wages and benefits.
Again, the total wages increase is $412,681.34, which I think is approximately 64% of that overall increase request. And then about 32% of that is the benefits, which were obviously not something that we add in. That's something we offer our people through the county. And then the remaining just under $40,000 for operating costs.
Okay.
So the health insurance, which is quite a bit, that's reflecting the number of people that you're asking in addition. Okay.
Right. So benefits are always affected. Well, I'll let Jennifer.
No, I was just going to say, the health insurance rate did go up this year. However, using that to calculate the FTE for the DA's office is also up by 3.25 positions this year.
So the district attorney's office is adding some additional
Over
positions?
yes, compared to last year's budget, there is an extra 3 people, 3.25 based on some allocations, but 3 that are on the roster this year, for this year's budget that weren't on the roster for last year's budget.
And are those people that were working with the district attorney's office as interns and now they've become assistant district attorneys, those would be the individuals that you're waiting for the bar exam on?
I'll confirm that, but yes, that has been our practice in the past. They're classified as intermittent employees while they complete an internship. We make them an offer of full-time employment, and they'll even come back in August after they've taken the bar exam, and they'll work for us for approximately 30 days. They can get a temporary license, as I'm sure you know, Commissioner Cook, and then when they get those bar results back, they're sworn in and they become full-time employees.
And I might note, your office is part of the wage compensation study that we're currently undertaking to see where the district attorney's office compares to other jurisdictions, both within the state and outside of the state of Kansas, of similar size, so.
Yeah, that's correct. And I'm interested to see those results. I've already had some conversation with the folks who are conducting the survey, and I appreciate that.
I noticed you had a pretty good jump in your printing. Are these for official notices that you have to post in the paper?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, all of our operating costs are driven by the caseload and how it shakes out day to day. So it's not something that we have a lot of control over. We just have to do our best every year to estimate what those operating costs are going to be. They do fluctuate.
Yeah, I noticed software went up quite a bit. Is that because the licensing has gone up, or are you adding new software?
Well, we have contracts on our big software commitments, and we've discussed those previously, and obviously this body approved those contracts. So typically they all have about a 3 to 5% increase year over year.
No, I think what he's referring to is that last year there was no line item for software subscription support. This year it's 175,000. So,
Yeah.
Oh, no, hang on. I think
wait,
I'm wrong.
am I in the wrong year?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on
Yeah.
26.
There you
Okay.
Yeah, 20.
That's all right, it's a
It
quick
did go
fix,
up
though.
20, 30, up 30,000. So. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
before you go, Mr. District Attorney, I do have one question. It doesn't necessarily have to do with your budget, but it is an item that you work on. Recently, the legislature passed a statute modifying bonding and bond procedures with the counties across the state of Kansas. And I know that we're going to be talking a little bit later on with the community corrections, the Department of Corrections, the sheriff, and with the courts on how that statute change is going to affect us. I know that our Department of Corrections is concerned with people that might be held for a longer period of time, how that will affect us when it comes to staffing and also for housing costs and needs. Is the district attorney's office working with the courts and the jail and everybody else to see how we might address that change in legislation?
Yes, Commissioner Cook, and I appreciate the question. It is a substantive change from how we've operated in the past, and we have had a number of discussions with the court, certainly, as well as our law enforcement partners on that issue. And I expect those will continue as we work through implementation of the new law.
Yeah, I just know it's not necessarily an item under your budget, but it is something that your office is working with, and we'll be talking and touching on, especially when it comes to the Department of Corrections here a little bit later, and the courts and some of the changes in that procedure. So, but thank you for working with everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mike. Next, courts.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lee Welch, Court Administrator, Shawnee County District Court, the 3rd Judicial District. I have a very brief PowerPoint presentation for you. So you can see that our budget from 2026, we were funded $3,161,737. Our proposed budget for 27 does show a slight increase, notwithstanding the 3% cost of living expense plus the associated increase in benefits that's being proposed by the county. That's a 6% increase in our overall budget. our specialty court funding, which includes drug treatment court and veterans treatment court. The allocation request remains the same at $15,000. So if you notice, aside from the benefits and associated cost of living increase, the total request for 2027 is an increase of $174,000. And that equates to $50,000 in increased guardian ad litem costs. We're requesting an increase from $500 per case to $1,000 per case on approximately 100 cases per year. $50,400 for a new attorney contract. This contract will be specifically designated for domestic cases involving mediation and conciliation. And $73,600, which is a requested increase of 5% to our contract attorney positions. As you know, I'm sure we've talked about this previously, that attorneys are in high demand, and there are fewer and fewer attorneys available, especially attorneys who are interested or willing to take on court contracts. We have spent the last couple of years getting our attorney contracts up to a better rate, and we would like to request this increase to keep our attorneys that we do have under contract, and hopefully to attract a few new ones, as we are continually having attorneys resign, retire, move on to strictly private practice, et cetera. Just a touchback, if I could, to our treatment court. We have had a great number of success in our veterans treatment court and our drug treatment court. I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to skip a slide and then come back. So our veterans treatment court is new over the last couple of years. Our drug treatment court has been an outstanding program we've had a great amount of success with. In 2025, we had 53 participants in drug treatment court with 7 graduates. In 26, we've had 50 participants thus far, and we have a few more, between 2 and 4 participants that are ready to sign up probably within the next week or so. And so far in 26, we've had 7 graduates. We have 1 graduating this afternoon at 2 o'clock in Division 9 courtroom, if anyone's interested in attending a drug treatment court graduation. Our veterans treatment court in 25 had 11 participants and 5 graduates. This year we have 8 participants so far and 1 graduate. Veterans treatment court has proven to be a lot slower on the uptick. It's harder to get people interested in participating in drug treatment court, and thus our participation and graduation rates are a little slower. We don't have anyone scheduled to graduate within the rest of this calendar year. Chief Judge Steve Eberts is here and can talk about the AOT if anyone's interested in our new specialty court program, which is the alternative outpatient therapy. So I'm going to back up just a bit to our CIP request for 26 through 31. Actually, that slide should say 31, but it does say 30. My apologies. The projects that are listed are projects that we've had on our CIP requests for the last several years. 2027, we're requesting funding for our court network cabling project. 28, during the courthouse renovation, it was discovered that the electrical panel in our server room in court IT, which is room 305, needs to be updated. And that comes at a substantial cost that we simply don't have the funds in our budget to cover. We've talked for several years with Mark Price as well as the commission about purchasing a shared generator for both county systems as well as court. And that's a project that I think remains on both of our radars that we'd like to have addressed at some point. And in 2030, we'll be back to our 5-year PC and laptop refresh. 31, we don't have any actual specific requests at this time, but we are looking at the potential given the high fiscal note of the hardware upgrade of possibly splitting that cost over a couple of years. I am more than happy to answer any questions. I didn't address individual line items in the budget as there was a lot of fluctuation. I think the packet that you received shows what increases and decreases took place. A lot of those are due to the fact that Audit Finance was gracious enough to give us some new object codes. So we have some more specific line items for transcripts, for contract attorney fees, for non-contract attorney fees, for interpreters that we've not had in the past, and those numbers have just been lumped into professional services. So we've broken a lot of those out, which has affected a lot of different line items. So given that fact, I'm not going to go through those line by line, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And I'm sure Judge Everts is more than happy to speak to anything you want specific information on, or if I can't answer your questions.
You mentioned the AOT program. We discussed that at length over the last couple of years. How is that going? Is it fully operational and up and running now?
It is, and I'll defer.
Okay.
Well, good morning. I'm Stephen Everts. I'm the Chief Judge of the 3rd Judicial District, and Commissioner Mays. It is going. Over the last year and a half approximately, we've had 10 participants, of which 2 of those actually graduated from the program. We also sought a grant from the Office of Judicial Administration to help with more incentives for participants. That grant was awarded this year. It's a drawdown grant, so as we need funds, and we work with ASTRA on our process to help people who are in the assisted outpatient treatment program. We'll make requests to draw down those funds, but it was $30,000 and that was approved. So we're still in the early stages, just starting really, because it hasn't been quite 18 months that we've been operating that specialty court. So we kind of left that out because we're still in that learning stage, but those are generally the statistics on where we're at right now. I will tell you that other AOT courts in the state, including Johnson County, who's kind of been the benchmark, they use about a 24-month window, look-back window, to see has a participant come back through the system again. So I won't have good statistics probably for another year or so, but then we can really start narrowing down who definitely has been a success. So if graduates have made it 2 years without returning to care and treatment court, that's generally considered a success.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and we appreciate your support, so thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Well, Judge, while you're here, how is the Self-Help Center? That was a new project that was started last year at the request of the Supreme Court, and how has that been going here in Shawnee County?
I think it's been going well. I don't have any statistics for you. I don't know if Lee does either, but it grows day by day. There are more and more people using the Self-Help Center. So I am sure that we're at dozens of people each day that come through, if not more.
Okay.
Do you want to address that at all?
Actually, our Self-Help Center is doing incredibly well and has actually become a model for self-help centers across the state that have yet to come online. So OJA has been exceptionally pleased with the process we've made, and we do have Kansas Legal Services are in the building on site on a regular basis, and we have numerous attorneys that are interested in providing their services at either low or no cost to qualifying individuals as well. So we started out open 3 days a week, quickly went to 5 days a week. We now have 2 people in that office full-time, as well as others from the clerk's office who come in to volunteer over lunches and breaks, et cetera. But it's fully staffed with 2 people at all times, and we're open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily, with the exception of the first 2 Wednesdays of the month. We're open from 8 to 4.
Okay.
And the one thing that's different about our self-help center that none of the others offer is we're open from 12 to 1. Most self-help centers close during all manner of lunch hours, but we made sure going in that ours was open, since that was one of the prime times people would have available to come visit.
Recently, the Office of Judicial Administration made some comments about maybe courts looking at appointing counsel for evictions cases, or that was another initiative that was mentioned. Is Shawnee County looking at that? Because, I mean, that would be an additional unfunded mandate through the legislature that's put down to the counties to fund.
We're still working on how we're processing that House bill, but it is on the radar, and we are trying to figure out how best to accomplish the requirements of that bill.
All right. And I did ask the district attorney while he was here, with the change to bonding, because again, I know that our Department of Corrections is going to be talking about the potential increase to their budget because of the change in bonding. Are the courts responding to that or working on that? Is that something that's still in the works? Because again, the statute just went into effect, 13 days, I guess, July 1.
July 1, correct. We have been all talking to each other and visiting. I will tell you from the court's perspective, I don't really want to comment on the validity of the legislation, et cetera, whether it's good, bad, et cetera. It is what it is, and we have to deal with it. But our process with the court, at least you have to break this into two different categories. There's after-hours folks that are arrested, warrantless arrests, and those folks who are arrested on warrant or appear through summons. Those would be the normal normal business hour case adjudications. The after hours, we have made some modifications there, but not a lot. And so the position I have taken with our court is we still have the same process with the Department of Corrections, where a judge can review somebody on an after hours warrantless arrest, and a judge, if he or she chooses, after finding probable cause, to set a bond, that judge has the authority to do that. Some of our judges have different opinions about whether that can be done or not. So we changed some internal programming on our bonding system so that judges have the flexibility to make their own decision about that particular issue. During the day, there are many other requirements about citizenship, sentencing, things like that that are included in that bill. Each judge is taking care of those on a daily basis in their own cases.
I appreciate that. And again, I know that's not part of your budget, but it is something that you are all working together on, and I know that it'll be coming up as a preview when Director Cole gets up.
If I may comment one other thing, I do think there is the potential that it could increase the cost of housing people at the jail the way it stands now. So I think there is that possibility, and I think we're trying to do everything we can to help. I know the district attorney and I met and went over an automatic bond schedule, looked at misdemeanor cases and others that we went line by line through those statutes, some that he agreed, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with an automatic bond on that, to try and release people as quickly as possible. They are not necessarily a severe threat to the public based upon a facial review of that charge. And so we have modified the automatic bond schedule to try and help out individuals, which may in effect help out on the budget as well.
Okay. And then the last question that I have is, as we look forward to the next 5 or 6 years down the road, we've now had two magistrates now for 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so are we looking at potentially needing to add more magistrates? Are we looking at adding potentially down the road an additional judicial judge to the Shawnee County? Is that something that we need to have on our radar when it comes to space and costs?
I don't think so at this time. I do not. That's not on the horizon that I can see. Now, of course, the legislature could pass some legislation, and that might change on a dime. But for right now, I do not see it within the foreseeable future, which to me would be the next 4 to 5, maybe 6 years. I don't see that.
I only ask just so that if we look at where our space allocation is and the cost of creating creating a courtroom, creating that space, the technology, all of the physical aspects that go into having an additional courtroom within the Shawnee County Courthouse. So,
you did mention this. I think as time goes on, if there were ever the opportunity to maybe rearrange some things in the courthouse, meaning maybe move one courtroom to another location, if somebody else vacated that building, we would certainly be interested in talking to the commission and possibly making requests for budget to renovate areas, things like that.
okay. All right.
Some of these future CIP projects. They're not on our list. Are they under different, like that?
Yes.
IT is,
Excuse me, I'm sorry. The list that you have in front of you is just for the 2027s, so the ones that we're
back a couple
looking to
pages.
fund for 2027.
yeah, but they,
If you have another packet that is all of the CIP requests that we will go through usually
Yeah.
whenever we talk about the full CIP.
I have that one here. I thought just for planning, it'd be good to have those in there, but they,
Yes.
but they are with the courts. They're not like with facility.
Yes, they would all be submitted by the courts.
Here it is. Hang on a second.
They'd be on the last page that you have, that's vertical. Up at the very top.
Okay. All right. I just thought it was good to have that for planning purposes. Okay, that was all I had. Anyone else?
Thank you.
And may I make one other comment?
Sure.
Thank you, about our budget. As you can see, I mean, for years, the majority of our budget is, more than half, or about half, is to pay attorneys, right? To pay attorneys who represent individuals in the court, and we're required by law to appoint attorneys to do so. There was a recent piece of legislation from the Kansas legislature that has in some ways changed care and treatment cases and guardianship and conservatorship cases, primarily guardianship and conservatorship cases. But it is requiring now that the court provide an attorney at county expense without regard to the financial means of the ward. And so I know that might be considered a unfunded mandate, but part of the reason for more attorney fees is some of these things that are coming from the legislature that we have not asked for. So I just want you to be aware of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Next, Department of Corrections.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections, and I'll do my best to be as brief as possible. I mean, everybody knows I can talk. Our team that's here today is Major Tim Phelps, who is over our finance and put together our budget, which I truly believe is a financially, fiscally responsible budget. Major Steve Willis over Community Corrections. Major Joe Rucker over our operations on the adult, and Major Angela McCarty that's on the Juvenile Detention Center. What I'll talk to you about today is that I'll break it down into segments of what our overall increase is. I'll break it down into where those budgets, the specific budgets are in our facility, and then, you know, talk a little bit about the new laws, and then I'll go into our CIP. Our request for increase this year is approximately 9.3%. And I can confidently say that the reasons for that increase is centers around salary obligations that have gone through what is approved by the commissioners through union and non-union. We have focused on our contractual services for the maintenance and upkeep of the facility, of an aging facility, and our contracts with our two major sources of food service and health care. When you talk about the detention center, you're looking at employee salaries. Insurance was over 30% increase. You're looking at anticipated utilities and deferred maintenance by the aging facility, and 10 correctional specialists for adding now that we have the money to fill the top floor. Last year we did the 20 for the facility. This year is for 10. For food service, it's a 4% increase, which is by the consumer price index, the increase of groceries and part of the contract. The trustee budget was a reduction of 3.7%, and that had to do because we had 27 pay periods last year. Now we're back down to 26. Our biggest increase was in healthcare. VitalCore came in at a time that we let our previous healthcare provider go at the end of that contract, or right in the middle of it. VitalCore came right in the middle of it, and took care of the contract as they took over. And that contract had a lot to do with the increase of staffing, some salaries, and they've estimated that that would be about a 10.9% increase to the contract. That was the contract that they took over. That is the contract. What we've all agreed that would be what is needed to fulfill the services at the Department of Corrections, which is numerous clinics, wound care, emergency services, medication compliance, and daily assessments, specifically also when it comes to behavior health. But our budget is strictly driven. If you look at the line items, there were the majority of the increases were from in our Division 2s and 3s. Most all of that was contractual services and the increase of maintaining our facility, and that's where that was, and the contracts we have to maintain the facility. And when it came to the ones, it was obviously just our salaries. So that's where those increases. We did decrease numerous areas in the areas, and I felt that Major Phelps did an excellent job of looking at our actual expenses, and we reduced several. There were items last year that we had, and we reduced significantly. Do you have any questions about that?
It's not.
When it comes to the CIP, we do have several this year. I did put in for just 2027, one that we pushed off several times. I know this is a big ask. We're still looking at it, and that is the Sallyport booking and transport area. We're looking at the DOC security upgrade, which is a continuous one that we've asked for every year, which maintains our security system and technological needs and efficiencies. Another transport vehicle, which that is something that right now I can say that we can always look at if it needs to be postponed. The two big areas, the next two areas are things that we've discovered that we need a total lock replacement on the adult detention center. Those are the original locks to the facility. They're running out of, and Major Phelps, who's over a physical plant, can explain it better than I, but those locks that we have, they're not able to be worked on anymore. We're piecemealing those things together. We put together a 5-year plan to be able to replace the locks in the original facility of the adult detention center. The elevator controls. This is to replace the controls of 6 elevators in the original 1988 edition. This is phased over 5 years. The module workstations. This is to replace the original workstations in 1988 and 1998 of both the adult and I believe the juvenile modules. There are 18 workstations, and that is also a 5-year phased plan. And then we have looked at, we've had numerous problems in the past, and Major Phelps had indicated the need that we need to look at possibly, if this is a CIP issue, engineering services design a plumbing infrastructure for the original part of the adult detention center to give us an idea, because those pipes are big breaking. They're old. These are the original pipes, again, from 1988. Those are a significant amount. That's about $717,000 for 2027. We understand that. We've carefully reviewed that. I've met with Jennifer regarding our requests and the needs, and we will continue to work with the commission and audit finance regarding, because we know there are other needs besides the Department of Corrections when it comes to CIP. When it comes to community corrections, there was just a 1% increase. That's about $18,000. We kept pretty neutral on that. A lot of that has to just do with increase in salaries and or when it comes to employee insurance. So that basically, in the grand scheme of things, it was about an $18,000 increase on community corrections. Any questions so far?
Not yet.
To touch on the issue with the bill that you've asked, and I think the judge said it the best, is that, he didn't say it this way, but I will say it's done, it's passed, and that's what we need to do. Our job is we're in charge of those who are remanded to our custody for probable cause and bonding and holding those to a so the law is what it is. I have met with the district attorney one time, I believe. It was more around an issue surrounding community corrections in reference to some drug offenses and those going back to prisons. And we talked about that because there were some concerns that the community corrections in the state of Kansas had. And I've had numerous conversations with the courts regarding the new bills or the new rules. There has been a lot of work. I think that the overall message is that this is going to be a work in progress because there still is a lot of unknowns to this. One of the things that I will tell you is that this is going to impact the Department of Corrections budget. We're going to see, regardless if we do know it's going to increase the average length of stay by inmates. We know that there are part of the new bonding system with felonies. There are felons that used to be able to get bonds that were around $1,000 or $2,000. And now there's going to be a minimum of very high, maybe $50,000 and higher. So we do know that people are going to stay longer in the facility. I plan to track that as much as possible. I have attended 2 different conferences or reviews with the courts, and I can give this information, but one of them was on June 11th with the Topeka Bar Association that was held and led by Judge Osman. It talked about the different elements of the new laws about bonding, and there was a summary of opponents' testimony, and a lot of that had to do with the fiscal deal. But the last note that was mentioned was unknown local cost, and this is what was given to us by the courts. The exact local cost of increased pretrial detention from stricter bonding requirements cannot be fully calculated, though it will directly impact jail budgets. That came to us. And then I went to another session with the judges during a meetings. There was by no means, I'm not here to talk about anybody else's budget. That would be very inappropriate on my opinion. And no one said, Brian, your budget's going to go up by this much. I'm going to have to track to see where these are. We're going to see increases of food. We're going to see increases of utility. We're going to see increases of supplies. We're going to see increases of medical and mental health. I hope that's not my phone. I don't know who's on there. We are going to see contractor services go up when it comes to health care. But it is the law. It is what it is. We continue to work with the courts on how to make this as efficient. I don't think anybody has ever said they want to keep the jail full. That's not true. If anybody's ever explained, that's not the case. But I'm not going to get into any type of political conversation of the rationale or anything like that about it. It is the law. This is what we're faced with, and we will adhere to the law. But we're working very closely with the courts. But this will impact the jail, and that's what I wanted to make sure that people understand as we go through, especially as we start preparing for 28. Is that I wanted to make sure that it will directly impact the jail's budget, and it's going to.
Brian, with the mental health module, does this budget reflect all the employees and?
Well, yes, it does, but the additional 10 employees is to be able to staff the 3rd floor because it was open. Last year's budget was to staff the 1st and 2nd floor, but this would be look at, and I'll turn to Major Phelps, but I believe the answer to that is yes. It is.
Are there any grants available to help pay for some of this?
Tim's been on board with the grants, and so is Major Willis, so I'll let them talk.
While he comes up, let me just point out, there should be one piece of paper in your packet that lines out what the cost of just the 10 that are being added this year is.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Phelps, Department of Corrections. The answer is that I'm presently pursuing, I think, 4 different grant programs. 3 of them have to do with the programming aspect of the behavioral health unit. And the 4th right now that I'm pursuing is to try to supplement the funds to complete the construction process. But the budget that you have in front of you is just to provide the base staffing, and some of the increases in the 200s and 300s reflect what we anticipate to happen when we open that building fully, as far as utilities and materials.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Director Cole, when we're looking at the impact of the law change with bonding, I know that you had expressed to us a concern with housing. What is the current capacity of the jail right now? What are we running at? Is it 75, 80% capacity?
Right now, percentage-wise, I don't have that off the top of my head. Right now, what I can tell you is that we're running over 600, and I think we can serve over, a little over, 750?
Presently, we are able to do 757, and when we open up the behavioral health unit, that will increase by 60.
Okay.
So
So
we're in an average daily population right now of, we have seen an increase since January of 50 per day at the jail.
So my concern is, are we going to hit a spot to where we are at capacity?
What trends when I talk to colleagues and professionals at the National Institute of Corrections, when you become 85% full, you're full. Because you have 3 beds in the female module, you have 2 beds in segregation. I can't just take a low-level offender, a male, and say you're gonna be put in this 1 bed where the females are. So when you become about 85% full, you're full.
What is then our contingency plan? Is it to utilize services in other counties? And if so, what is the cost of those?
Well, I want to be as proactive as I can with the courts and the district attorney, and I will say that both of those agencies have been very open to talking to us when it comes to population. But that is a concern. We have numerous MOUs in place with several surrounding counties and the Kansas Department of Corrections if it comes to emergency issues, when it comes to the housing or any type of emergency. And part of our COOP plan is that, which would be if we became overcrowded. But I do have contingency plans in place and MOUs with 5, 6, 7 different agencies to be able to look towards to housing. And in some cases, when our population has gone down, that MOU works both ways, which all have been approved through the county council. So we have worked with other agencies, but those are in place.
Okay.
Yes.
The district attorneys, the Department of Corrections, your increase, you said 9%, but I think that if we put it in dollar terms, it's roughly $3,700,000.
Yes, sir.
Of an increase. And so the law enforcement section of the budget, that is roughly about a almost $8 million increase, if my rough math, I know audit finance will correct me, but that constitutes about half of that increase in the cost. And so that is an additional staffing and getting the mental health facility fully staffed.
Yes. And we will continue as we get a little closer if there's any mandates or anything that come from the commissioners, and we will work closely with Jennifer's office if it means, like we did last year, on looking at how we open positions and things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a reminder, last year, whenever the positions were approved for the first 2 floors of the mental health facility, those were rolled out to be, I believe, at about half of the year, maybe 3/4 of the year.
Pay period 13,
And so we only
14.
budgeted for those, for half of a year for those 23 positions. And so now we're looking at a full year of those 23, plus a full year of this additional 10.
And we're already recruiting and have people in the house. The 20 are open. We're recruiting for those. We have several in the process. And this would be would be to add on. And those are budgeted for the full year, but if we need to, we can look at staggering those out if it needs to be.
So how many vacant positions do we have right now?
With the 20 that we added, we're close to about 33. We had 13 originally, and then we added the 20, so we're about 33. And that's with the new positions, 20 of those. So, but we have several. We have double-digit numbers are going into the in the pathway, which is from scheduled from a interview, the agility test, polygraph, drug, UA, and things like that. So we have several. Yeah.
Brian, what's the likelihood that we fill those 10 positions over the course of the next year?
Well, that's a good question. You know, when we had the 70 or 80, it took us about 2 years to get about to 10. As aggressive as we have been with recruiting and the numbers that we're getting, I'm confident that we can fill those. I'm going to be honest with you, I want to fill the first 20. And things like this. I don't want to say that we don't need those 10, because if we don't get it, we will not be able to open. But likelihood of filling those, if we go, from 33 to 43, as aggressive as we've been, and we've been with, Angela Lewis and recruiting, we've done pretty good. I'm confident that it's gonna take us some time, but I'm confident we will get them filled, yes.
And these aren't just your typical corrections specialist jobs, right? These are we're
correction
looking-
specialist jobs, but anybody that works in this facility will go through 3 different mandatory trainings, which is crisis intervention. They go through, I believe it's mental health first aid, and then unusual behaviors. I think that's the name of it, or something similar to that. So there are mandatory training that these officers will have to go. Our plan is to get those that are situated now, get as many as the officers that we have that have been there a while, get them as much as trained as possible, get them into the new facility, and backfill the other general population modules. But we do have CIT already in our academy, which we have an academy coming up in about 3 months, I believe, 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so you're not looking for people who have, master's degrees
no,
in social
absolutely
work
not.
or anything like that, okay?
No.
Okay. Yes.
I just want to ask one question. One of the items that is included in your budget is 8% of the Teamster staff for overtime. I just want to make sure we kind of point out, that's almost $1.7 million
Yeah.
when you include benefits on that. So I want to make sure that you guys are looking at that, and you still believe that that is an accurate need that you guys have.
It is, that continues to goes up, it fluctuates, but we monitor that every pay period. And I get a report specifically from Major Phelps that talk to me, or reports to me about the number of hours that we've had and the money. It is continuously being monitored, and we're always willing to look at adjusting that when we can. Right now, that has been pretty steady with us, but we will continue to monitor that always, yes.
Any other questions? All right, Brian, thank you. Tim,
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Sheriff's Office.
Oh, hold on. I think we had community corrections. If
sorry.
there was anything from the community
I
corrections.
thought
I know that
I
was.
thought he covered,
It is, but it was listed just as a separate. I just want to make sure if there's anything we didn't touch on with community corrections.
With community corrections, there was, I think one of the things that I think our district attorney, Mike Kage, mentioned very well was about caseloads. We see the same thing when it comes to our community corrections. Our community corrections carries a very high caseload. So right now, we're continuing to work on the funds that we get from the Kansas Department of Corrections and from the sheriff's office, or excuse me, if the sheriff wants to give us any money, we'll take money from you, from the commission and our budget. We're working on programming, continuing to do that. We're trying to do as many innovative things as bringing in programs that we have mental health staff that are on site, looking at that. I'm continuously working with Major Willis on looking at the security at our front desk, and even how long we continue where we're at as in housing. Steve, do you have anything? No, I think what you said is okay. Yep. So we're just staying right on par. Yeah.
all right.
Thank you.
Now we're ready for Sheriff.
I apologize.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Hill with Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. So the first slide that we're looking at here is the proactive policing slide that's got the stats from several years here. And the top one is to year to date. As you can see, the deputies remain very vigilant and active in their endeavor to seek out crime in the community. Our next slide here is how that first slide absolutely impacts crime in our community here. as you can see, we've had a steady decrease, and I really want to point out in the 2025 slide, that's the year the Real-Time Crime Center actually come on board and started impacting investigations and police response. So in the county, we're doing pretty well with serious crimes. We've had a decrease in that. This is just more of a breakdown of the actual crimes that we deal with. The motor vehicle theft.
Sheriff, it's our 1 hour mark, so time to stretch, so keep going. Go ahead.
Can we keep going? We're
Yep.
going to stretch out together? Okay. The next is our burglary slide. We've had a steady decrease in that in the county. And theft from motor vehicles, a slight reduction there. A lot of times it's a lot of the juveniles out shaking car doors, so remember to lock those vehicles up. This is just a photo of our real-time crime center. I can't even begin to tell you how impactful this is as an investigator here in Shawnee County and spending my investigative years for TPD. I would have loved to have had a tool like this when we were investigating major cases and homicides. I know that this crime center is being utilized every day by investigators. This center expands more than what you see right here, which we have 2 operators that we keep down there. TPD contributes manpower and runs half of that center. But the investigators are able to access that individually at their desk, and every day they're using this tool to impact crime investigation. One of the big things I'd also like to say, every school in Shawnee County now has come on board. We have the capability of pulling up cameras. I think 501 is the last one, and they're integrating everything now. I think there's few schools that haven't come on line yet, but they're working very diligently to do that. This center has impacted officer safety during traffic interactions tremendously. Our increased security for the business district, we've had a lot of businesses downtown in different areas that have come online and showed participation with this. And we also have a residential registry for cameras. Currently, it looks like we have 1,184 people who have registered their cameras. And just so the public is aware, that's not giving us access to look at your cameras. It's telling us that you have cameras. Part of what I had to do as a detective in this community for years was go around, knock on doors, and ask people if they had cameras when crimes happen in the neighborhood. When people register their cameras, that's allowing us to immediately know where those cameras are at. You're telling us that you're willing to work with us, and it's basically a modern-day neighborhood watch with technology. Our investigators now will send out emails to those people in those areas where crimes have occurred, and within a lot of times, minutes, we'll get responses back, and people can make those videos available for our investigators. So it's a huge time saver for investigations and community safety. So we'll probably be making another big public push along with PD to try to get more people to register their cameras. So this is just showing really this pie chart pretty much sums it up what we're looking at here. You know, the green at 89%, that's salaries and benefits. That 7% is operational costs with contractual obligations. We've had about a 4% operational budget. You know, with this budget here, we have our budget team with us, with Under Sheriff Hubler, Major Vest, and our accountant Steve, and they've put a lot of time in looking. This next year's chart's going to have that at, honestly, the pay is probably upper to 90% next year. I do want to commend the commission with working with us to actually get wages up so that we can maintain people. Our dispatch center has been woefully understaffed for, I don't know, years as I've been a police officer here. We actually have, I think for the first time in years, we just hired the last two or got offers out that we have fully staffed as dispatchers. We're down a couple of call takers now. We had a couple of individuals that were sisters that moved away from us. Sorry to see them leave, but we're doing really well with staffing in the dispatch center right now. We've been able to actually build out a backup center that is actually functional, and they're currently working out of that backup center as they're remodeling the main center there in the LEC. So those are huge steps up for our dispatch center and public safety. Part of the sheriff's office, we have responsible for running that dispatch center, and there's no communication in Shawnee County that doesn't go through there. So the fire, the police, the AMR personnel, even a lot of every radio system touches that. So that's a huge public safety issue. Here's our historical breakdown of funds. As you can see, the pay increases is, the 1.5 million there. The payroll increase is 5.76%. We've really spent a lot of time going through the line items. For expenditure increases, we're up 1% of our overall budget. And I'll move on to our CIP requests here. As you gentlemen know, Shawnee County has 556 square miles. Our fleet drives 1.8 million miles per year, and every year we need 10 vehicles just for fleet refresh to keep everybody moving and on the street and in service. This is a big one that I wanted to put on your radar. This is due to a federal unfunded mandate of radio upgrades and communication that we're going to have to address and deal with. It is a sizable number of $1.7 million just to replace the radios on our side. I will say at the Sheriff's Office we have a grant writer employed, and we are diligently seeking out grants to offset the cost here. We've been fairly successful in obtaining some grants. We're still waiting on the government checks in the mail for the $5 million so we can start enacting that. A lot of that's going to be for dispatch, communication upgrade, and for drones across Shawnee County. I do want to tell you, gentlemen, we have 2 drone hubs that we've been demoing out. Companies have allowed us to put them up and in service. They've been working now for a week and a half. We got people flying those first and second shift. What a tremendous upgrade. These are the smaller hubs that only have a few miles radius from where they're launching from. But Central Topeka and Wanamaker corridor are being covered right now. And the average response time for a call in the city, 4 or 5 minutes. Our drones are getting overhead, usually a minute or less. It's impacting the response time. We've deployed for fires, policing calls, medical emergencies, and getting eyes in the sky. Kind of brings me back to my days when we actually had a helicopter. That was so tremendous that I'm not sure who lost that, but that was a huge tool that we lost here in the county. So as we move forward, I'm very excited about the possibility of putting drones overhead again to respond to emergency calls. So that's where we're going with that. As soon as we can pull enough stats, I was going to bring a video over and show you just exactly kind of what's going on and what you're going to get for public safety here. So we keep seeking out federal monies. We pay a lot of taxes. It's nice to get some of that money back into our community, so we're going to keep striving and trying to do that. But that is the cost there, that 1.7 for the radios.
Ryan, the radio, you said it was a mandate from the federal government. What's the change that?
It has to do with the encryption security levels. It has to be able to be encrypted on both ends, and our radios are too old to handle it and do that. We're also seeking out possible other vendors that might be able to come in less than that. So there's a lot of things that we're looking at here to try to be as thrifty as possible.
But it's nothing we can upgrade existing radios.
Yeah, our existing radios won't handle that.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
Does that include, I mean, is that just the radios, or is that like the entire network? Because
the radios is the part, it's my understanding that we can't upgrade. The network itself, I think, you want to handle that, Undersheriff?
aren't we gonna have to at some point replace some of the tower type?
We do have backhaul system issues and stuff that we're looking at as well.
You're correct. This is just for the mobile radios. The portable radios that you carry on your vest is not included in this. The entire radio system is coming towards end of life. That is expressed in our long-range CIP. But I do want to reiterate what the sheriff said. We are very, very actively pursuing all kinds of grant opportunities. We've met with multiple vendors on trying to bring those costs down. But I thought the sheriff and I thought that it was the right thing to do to let the commission know at least what the future holds for us, potentially. Right now, our radios are working. There's not a problem with the radios that the officers have. But as we have to move to encryption, we're going to have to do something different, whether that's a new radio or getting something done with those radios. The radios we have right now will not handle the encryption that's required by the federal government.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're talking about would tie into the CIP line that's for the radio and microwave systems backhaul at 2.6 million?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's literally the entire system needs to eventually be upgraded. And we are, again, just so you know, we are actively looking at grants for the entire system to include the backhaul, all of the radios, and the dispatch center consoles as well.
While you guys are up there, if I could ask you guys kind of a similar question to what I asked the DOC, because your FTE also has grown from the 26 budget to the 27 budget. So my question for you would be, we currently budget overtime for you guys in two separate ways. We have a separate percentage that we allocate to the civil service, and then we have another percentage that we allocate to Teamsters and CWA.
Yes.
I believe that, and those are both based on a percentage, and I just want to make sure that that is still needed. We've got civil service at 5.25%, and then we've got Teamsters and CWA at 16% of the base wages.
Yes, from the sworn side, I believe that's as accurate as we can get, not knowing what's going to happen from year to year, what type of incidents we may or may not have. The CWA and Teamsters, hopefully now with getting more positions full, we will see some of that decrease, but a number of those positions are in training right now. Some of those are just offers out to those people, but we will watch that closely, and hopefully as we get those positions full, then we can decrease that overtime number in the future.
This would be salary on top of the budgeted vacant positions, though. So if you have a vacancy, the vacancies pay for overtime up to a certain amount. So this would be needs to cover above vacancies, which is
Understood.
currently at almost $1.3 million for your department.
I will make sure we take another look at that.
Yeah, that would just be another spot for us to look at.
Mr. Chairman, just a couple of quick questions for your sheriff. I think the Real-Time Crime Center, you've talked about its impact in law enforcement and the impact in Shawnee County. As you become more mobile and more agile with the Real-Time Crime Center and you're able to do more things with it, are we looking at a decrease in the head count of sworn deputies that we would need because of the technology. Is that something that we would look at maybe projecting at some point in the future?
I'm always willing to look to see what the manpower allocation needs to be based upon the workload, but at this point, I don't see that. What I see is more efficiency in what we do. I know that we've been able to clear calls, disturbance calls with the drones overhead and freed up officers to move on to the next call. But I think what you're talking about is being able to serve citizens in a more effective, efficient manner and getting there timely. Narcotics is such a scourge across this country with the legal drugs.
Right.
Be honest with you, I could keep 100 narcotics officers busy around Shawnee County.
So the next question, kind of leading into that, as we look at the city of Topeka and what their budget looks like, the city of Topeka has made dramatic cuts to several departments. They're looking at making more cuts to departments to meet their budget. The number of TPD officers has decreased because of open positions or closed out positions. Has that impacted the sheriff's office in that you need to pick up more of the workload here in Shawnee County?
Well, just depending on the day, at times we do get dispatched calls within the city. And we work very well with TPD. We have a good relationship with them. But yes, financial support of the police department will impact this entire county. So we're going to work as diligently as we can working with them. And
well, you mentioned narcotics. At one point, the Topeka Police Department had whole dedicated departments towards gangs, towards narcotics, towards violent crimes, and I think some of that has gone away. And so I just want to know if this now an impact where we're looking at the sheriff's office picking up that load to meet those needs.
Well, we took a pretty good step forward when we created Shawnee County Drug Task Force, and we worked with people from all the little jurisdictions across Shawnee County, from Rossville to Silver Lake to Auburn. We share intel. At times they provide personnel. But we're trying to put forward more investigative resources toward narcotics, interdiction, and investigation. Fentanyl's still a huge problem here.
Yes.
So, yeah, all this is going to be impactful for public safety, and we're going to do everything we can to help out and make everybody safe in this county.
The last question I had, we've reviewed this several times over the years. There's two different schools of thoughts when it comes to vehicles. You have our school of thought, which is the officers have a vehicle assigned to them. They take it home with them. It's parked outside of their house. I know in the past there's been comments that that's a crime deterrent. If you see the officers driving through the neighborhood, that's like having your own local officer right there within your neighborhood. The city of Topeka takes a different position where the vehicle is assigned to a motor pool and you pick up what vehicle may be available to you, so those vehicles are out on the road constantly. Should we look at maybe changing how we handle our vehicles, or are we right-sized, or I don't, maybe the undersheriff, again, I know we have just reviewed this because one of our major costs every year is vehicle maintenance and replacement of vehicles.
I think you're talking oranges and apples here, and a lot of it is because of where we work. This is a huge county, and at times deputies respond from their home addresses. Having that vehicle there going straight to the scene, as opposed to having to drive to the LEC, get in that vehicle and respond. You could be talking 45 minutes to an hour difference in response time, which is life. So I think for the county, having take-home vehicles is imperative. I don't know that it's as important in the city. There's some ups and downs. You're talking about hot seating those cars where they're on the road 24/7, every shift too. I think that our deputies do a pretty good job of the care and maintenance of those vehicles, and I think we get more life out of them the way we're doing it. But I'm always open to look to see if it's if there's a better way to do business. But
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Commissioner Mays?
So I'm going to rephrase. Sorry. I'm going to rephrase Commissioner Cook's first question where he asked about the real-time crime center and staffing, but I guess I'm less interested in the effect on staffing as I am the effect on like the vehicles, miles traveled, fuel costs, things like that. So if we're able to use that real-time crime center and then again the aerial approach to 911 dispatch and a response, I mean, is that going to save us money long-term with, you know, instead of driving 10 miles to get to somewhere, you know, perhaps we can use a drone or a camera to get there faster and cheaper?
Absolutely, it has the potential to do that. As I just mentioned, I want to put together a little presentation video and come over with the short time that we're going to be demoing these, but I know that we're able to clear calls, so those officers aren't even having to drive to those areas. So those types of things will be impactful and could potentially save us some gas money.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Thank you. All right.
9-minute break.
Okay, let's take a break for 9 minutes and we'll be back here at 10:30. let's get started again.
No, it's actually in here.
Next,
No, this is what I sent you. It's in here, and it has.
all right, we'll start with emergency management.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dusty Nichols, Emergency Management, to discuss our 2027 budget proposal. As we just kind of look over the past year with the Emergency Management team, we went back and reviewed our mission, our vision, and our goals. Did we meet those things over the past year with the budget we were given, and then how can we be more efficient, looking at our strategic plan, things we want to do going forward as well. So we really looked at where we could combine efforts, or look at retirements coming up very soon. And the things we've done over the past few years have really set us up for success going into this year. A couple of things that were really key were some of just the operations we have, we're involved in, some logistics issues, maintenance issues, those kinds of things, but also looking at plans and retirements that might be happening in the next 5 to 10 years. And so trying to set ourselves up and the county for success as we move forward. So just real briefly, over the past year, we got involved in quite a few things, specifically inside the county, helping other departments with not just planning and emergency planning, but doing exercises and testing our plans for emergencies and other situations that might occur. We also did a lot of training, helped out with lunch and learns, of course, storm responses. And then we also, on the outside of our offices, outside the county offices, we increased our partnerships with the library. We did some active shooter training and emergency training with them, and that was very helpful on their part as well. And we partnered with law enforcement, with Shawnee County Sheriff and Topeka PD, and did some additional training at the mall, for example, with another active assailant training, with hospitals. So we're really starting to share those partnerships, share duties within those partnerships. And of course, the media relationships have gotten pretty strong over the past year because of a lot of the stuff that we're involved in, and the way the world is changing as well. So those are pretty big successes on our part. As we see them. Other ones I want to bring highlights to, because these are not small things, and sometimes they just go unnoticed. And with those organizations that we work with, sometimes it even expands. So I wanted to bring and I know you guys see it specifically because you get the emails in abundance about these things when they're happening. But the wildfire response throughout the state, specifically Nelson Castillo, our Operations Section Chief, managed a lot of that stuff for local firefighters, as far as the deployments and getting them out the door, and also the finance side of that. And he's very key with ambulance compliance, and he is in the audience if you have questions for him on ambulance compliance stuff. But those two very large, significant things, I don't want those to go unnoticed. Nelson does a lot of work with that, and if we don't bring attention to it, sometimes you don't see it. We're also looking at the software development with the state. Bold planning is going away. They're transitioning, and that's basically the software that houses our LEOP, Local Emergency Operations Plan, and also the COOP, and the Continuity of Operations, Continuity of Government Plan. That's been the basis of what we've been using over the past 12 years, 10 years. It's going away, so they are developing new software to take its place, and we have been assisting in that software development, and I'm excited about where that's going. But that beta software has been out, and it's moving forward. Hopefully, we're going to start using it in September. So the transition of the stuff that's in bold to that should be pretty smooth, and I'm excited about that. The emergency response training, we've trained organizations and people and just all kinds of situations that create emergencies, a lot of run, hide, fight situations type training. I've been key on that throughout the county and some regional. And we've also been conducting CPR and AED training for county personnel to keep those costs low. And that's been gaining some ground as well. And I think that's a good use of our time and talent and our space as our resources as well. And then those HCP exercises and reporting, that has been a requirement, and we're helping other organizations meet that requirement so they can get grants and going forward as well. So those are some of the key highlights and key things that we do throughout the year. We have a lot of stuff coming up over in 2027 and then in future that we're working on or trying to strategically plan through. A lot of it is stuff we've already been doing, obviously. So our proposal is, our request for 2027 is $6,670. Well, you got the idea. I can't talk, but that's our request. We're up 1%, but that's strictly, as you can see on the MSA lines down below. We've reduced other lines that we've decided that it was a decrease adjustments in services and supplies. We found some other ways to go, and some of our CIP requests will help us out there too. I've talked to you in the past about certain vehicles that would help us do siren repair, those kinds of things. So we're looking at that as we go forward too. If we can cut some more services and have the resources ourselves over time, that would save some money too. So we are still examining some of that stuff, but those that would reduce some cost over time, we think. So basically, we're up 1% from our 2026 approved budget, and that's specifically due to salary increases in those positions that we've hired. You've allowed us to hire through to cover those retirements that are coming up. So we are training them in place as we go. So excited about that. So with that, if you have any questions, I can answer.
Questions?
No.
I don't have it.
Oh, that was, really? Man, that was a lot of
Sorry.
work, Scott. No, that's all right. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Did you want to talk ambulance with Nelson? Because I think he's next up.
With who?
Nelson, that was part of
Oh.
us.
No, I mean,
No, don't have anything.
Yeah.
All
No.
right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Nelson.
Thank you.
I know that you're still working hard.
All right. Next up, Safe Streets.
Okay, good morning. My name is Olivia Herman, and I am the very new Executive Director over at Prevention and Resiliency Services. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come here today and share more about our Safe Streets program, and specifically the Block Talks. Block Talks is a grassroots, neighborhood-based initiative designed to strengthen community connections and foster safer, more resilient neighborhoods. The program brings residents together in comfortable, familiar settings such as their front porches, their yards, parks, and other neighborhood gathering spaces to have meaningful conversations about the issues that matter the most to them. These discussions create opportunities for neighbors to build relationships, identify concerns, share ideas, and work together towards solutions. Since my predecessor last had the opportunity to speak with you about this program, Block Talks has had significant growth. Today, we have successfully launched and sustained Block Talks in 11 core neighborhoods and are actively working to expand into 2 additional neighborhoods. These neighborhood groups have become trusted gathering spaces where residents engage in conversations about safety, strengthening relationships, access to critical resources, and developing local leadership. What began as a small neighborhood gatherings has evolved in consistent community-led efforts that demonstrate what is possible when community members are supported and empowered to lead. Everything we do through Block Talks is intentionally designed to foster belonging, reduce barriers to participation, and create welcoming spaces where honest and sometimes difficult conversations can take place. Our trauma-informed approach helps residents feel safe, heard, and valued, particularly when discussing issues such as neighborhood violence, isolation, and community disconnection. In addition to neighborhood conversations, we have hosted resource connection events in partnership with local organizations, connecting residents with services including housing assistance, mental health support, youth programming, food resource, and other community services. These events go beyond simply sharing information. They create opportunities for residents to access practical support and build relationships with organizations that can help meet their needs. Perhaps the most meaningful outcome we have witnessed is the renewed sense of connection among neighbors. Individuals who had not spoken to one another in years are now checking in on each other, sharing resources, organizing neighborhood activities, and working together to address local concerns. Those relationships are the foundation of stronger neighborhoods, and they play a critical role in preventing violence and building lasting community resilience. So our goals for the upcoming year to support and strengthen existing Block Talks. So we want to continue to nurture and support our existing neighborhoods, helping our block leaders deepen relationships, expand outreach, and lead follow-up activities that could keep the momentum going. We want to expand to additional neighborhoods, building on the success we've already had. We want to support additional neighborhoods in launching resident-led block talks. We want to support block talk neighborhoods in planning and hosting neighborhood-wide events that bring residents together, increase awareness of available resources, strengthen relationships among neighbors and community partners, and recognize the dedication and leadership of residents working to build safer, healthier, and more connected neighborhoods. We want to expand partnerships with city departments, neighborhood improvement associations, the Citizens Advisory Council, neighborhood leadership groups, and other established community boards to strengthen community access across sectors, increase access to resources and technical assistance for neighborhoods. We want to strengthen communications, enhancing neighborhood communication networks by supporting consistent, accessible communication channels and strategic social media outreach that keep residents informed, foster neighborhood connections, increase participation in local initiatives, and celebrate community successes. And finally, we want to encourage and support community-driven initiatives, including community gardens, mutual aid networks, neighborhood beautification projects, and other resident-led efforts that strengthen social connections, improve neighborhood environments, increase access to shared resources, and build long-term community resilience. We sincerely appreciate your continued support and the opportunity to partner with Shawnee County in strengthening our community. Throughout our work, we have had the privilege to collaborate with wonderful county departments and staff, and we are grateful for the encouragement, partnership, and commitment they have consistently shown PARs in the neighborhoods we serve. That's what I got.
I take it you have a good working relationship with our sheriff's department? And,
Yes.
very good.
Yep.
Do you have outreach to the smaller communities like Silver Lake, Rossville, Auburn?
As far as I know, and forgive me, I'm brand new, we have not expanded out past the 11 that we have going right now are really local to like Central, North Topeka, right in here. But we are always willing to expand.
Other questions?
No, thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next, Stormont Vale Event Center.
Good morning, Commissioners. Casey Haney, General Manager of Stormont Vale Event Center. The Stormont Vale Event Center is requesting a budget increase of 15.68% to total $1,293,579. This is, again, 15.68 of last year's budget, but it is actually only a 0.48% decrease of where we ended up at the end of 2025. Our financials at the end of 2025 ended up being $1,299,811 at the end after audit adjustments. This budget was reconfigured a little bit through some strategic operational shifts of salaries too, by moving some of the salaries that made sense within the different departments. This also included some items that were not included into the 2026 budget. So by carefully reviewing all of those, you will see some major shifts in the departments. The total net spend across these departments for the indirects has increased by $595,964. So rather than unchecked operational expansion, this investment represents accurate payroll mapping, fixed historical budgeting omissions, and strategically scaling staff to execute the high revenue hockey season. Crucially, this net figure also absorbs several external inflation pressures, including a 39% sharp premium increase for insurance and a projected 8% increase for utilities. For the event and revenue strategy, the 2027 strategy pivots towards attracting larger crowds per event and aggressively scaling corporate advertising sponsorship by trading off volatile, high labor cost structures for predictable, high-margin ticketing and marketing returns. This will create a more stable financial foundation. Looking into our capital improvements, as we look into the year ahead in 2027, our focus at the Stormontville Event Center remains steadfast on two core pillars: maximizing premium revenue streams and elevating the guest experience to keep our facility competitive in the regional entertainment market. For the 2027 cycle, we are requesting a total capital improvement allocation of $400,000. This funding is strategically divided across two target revenue-generating hospitality enhancements inside Landon Arena. Let me walk you through how this works and how this investment will pay dividends for our venue and our community. The first major component of our 2027 request is the Landon Loge Box and Living Room Suites, coming in at $250,000. The modern entertainment consumers, whether they are attending concerts, sporting events, or family shows, are increasingly looking for premium shared hospitality experiences. To capture this demand, the project will completely remodel two existing premium party decks in our upper sections and build out a new living room style box suite directly adjacent to the current party deck area. By modernizing these areas with high-end comfortable seating and premium layout designs, we're not just improving the aesthetics of Landon Arena, but we're creating high marketable, high margin ticketing assets. These spaces will directly translate into fresh, lucrative corporate sponsorships, premium package sales, and enhanced per capita spending during our highest profile events. Our project number 2, complementing the suite model, is our second project for 2027, the installation of a new Landon Arena party platform. Requiring an investment of $150,000, this project will effectively monetize an underutilized footprint within our venue's bowl. We intend to construct a dedicated structural party platform directly above the southwest security entrance. To summarize, we are not asking for these funds simply to maintain aging brick and mortar. This $400,000 is an intentional, proactive business decision. By modernizing our loge boxes and introducing the Southwest Party platform, we are diversifying our premium inventory, matching modern stadium trends, and giving our sales team the assets they need to drive aggressive, long-term revenue growth. This keeps the Stormontville Event Center positioned as the premier entertainment destination in Shawnee County for years to come. Goodness gracious. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
I know that this is a common conversation that you and I will have, but hockey was great last year, really well attended, very entertaining, lots of people that came and participated in watching the hockey, which was a great benefit to Shawnee County. But we didn't see much in the way of music or concerts last year. I know that recently with the opening of Morton's amphitheater in Kansas City, that seems to be the new hot spot for a lot of outdoor entertainment acts. Where do you see Stormontville Event Center going over the next year with indoor entertainment?
Absolutely. I mean, Morton is an outdoor amphitheater, so it is seasonal, right? So we have to capture those moments where we can do those headliners that are not performing at Morton, where we can, put them indoors. So that would be a seasonal thing for us to book. I think that, finding those artists that are okay with coming into a secondary market, whatever is touring at that time, I think it is, it's crucial to jump on that wagon and get those acts in here. I think that overall, if we stay stagnant with our concerts and our bookings, I think that we will forever be stagnant. And I think that it's important, not to be aggressive, but be smart about our bookings and book the right people into our calendars and become more alive again with that live entertainment.
And so you and your team are working on maybe some bookings for next year?
Correct, yes. This year is, the bookings for, Q4 have already really happened with me coming in. They've already routed, so I'm just kind of looking for any fillers that may come in for Q4 for us that I can fill within our schedule. But as far as 2027, I'm already looking into booking our holes that we need to get filled.
I have a question about the party platform. What does that look like? Is that, yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. So, in the northwest corner there, it is right above the security office there. It's normally it's a platform that isn't really utilized a lot. Sometimes they take out the seats. Sometimes it's just a flat, just a flush surface. And so they want to turn that into something that, especially when we have capacities of a 360 capacity, we can actually turn that into a premium space. So that would be the platform there that would, that tunnel that comes into Landon Arena. Do you know where I'm talking about
Sure.
there? Yeah, so it's just taking that out, because those seats rarely get utilized anyways, taking those seats out and making that overall just a viewing area. I think that when we have demo derbies, when we have hockey, that space, I mean, we can, make anywhere from 20 to 30,000 off of that party platform.
Would that be like tables in there? And
Yes,
tables and chairs kind of
correct.
thing?
Yes, doing some tables, doing some chairs, making it like almost like a kind of like a lounge feel for the guests there too as well. That would also include like the in-seat service, almost like comparable to what we would offer in a suite.
All right. Any other questions?
I can think of.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, Fair Association.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Ashley Mingarelli. I'm currently serving as the Shawnee County Fair Board President.
I'm Greg Wilcox. I'm the Fair Board Treasurer.
We did submit our proposal from this year. It was noted when we sent it in that there was a significant increase in our request. We did have to add a table rental line this year when we went in to plan the event with the Stormont Vale Event Center in our logistics meeting. We were informed that they've been throwing away tables and not replacing them, and the only tables that we had available were 120. In the past, we've had over 220 tables available for our event. So we went out and we did some pricing for rental tables, and in order to be able to rent the tables, we did scrounge around this year, and we are borrowing some from different places, but we're we made the impression that it's a one-time collecting tables from all the different parks and rec. So shout out to Shawnee County Parks and Rec for working with us. We appreciate them working with us to bring those tables. But moving forward, if the plan is for them to continue to throw away tables and not replace them, we are paying $60,000 to rent this venue, and we don't have what we need to have our event there. So pricing out tables, it's going to cost us to rent them, even if we can find enough, because there's not quite enough to rent from the two main vendors. It's going to be about $4,000. And so we were considering whether at this point, if the investment is every year we have to rent tables, or we look at starting to purchase tables and have another storage container to keep them in. What's more cost effective in the long run, continuing to have to rent or purchasing and then having them? Unfortunately, they would be stored, and I mean, we could get them for other events, but they would be stored, but we'd have them for years to come. The other thing we added, we increased our fair expenses a little bit because when we were in our logistics meeting, we're reminded every year that when we want to bring vendors in and anybody wants to plug something in, that they will be charged $75 to use a plug-in at the fair. And I said, well, does this apply for even like if we're using the pancake feed roasters? And the statement was, yes, technically we should. We turn our heads, and I said, well, if you're turning your heads from it, why is this a conversation we have every year? So We did put that in there moving forward because it seems as if it's being pushed that we will need to pay for using electricity and plugins at the fair. So those are our 2 increases. Exciting things, we unfortunately aren't able to have the bull buck out. I guess the promoter was sick. We were informed last minute that it was not going to be able to happen. So we did change our Saturday schedule to accommodate for an evening event that's not going to be able to happen. But we are excited because we are having a run for the H's, which is a new event. One of our 4-H'ers is super excited to get to plan that. So we're having a 5K run. We're having the pancake feed, which is the annual 4-H fundraiser, will be held on Saturday morning in conjunction with getting the runners there. So we're hoping our numbers increase. We are excited that we'll also have a cornhole tournament on Saturday. And then we did move up our auction times and show with our buyers that we would be able to accommodate our buyers that wanted to go to the evening event. But that's all right. Hopefully next year we can get that worked out. So those are some new events that we have going on. We still have the bounce houses, and we're working with different community events to bring them in. So I'm going to add something. Go ahead and jump in.
No, you're fine.
So we are working with different organizations. We would still like to be able to expand the fair more, but it seems like most of our events that expand the fair involve food, and that's still a big hang up on being able to bring vendors or food trucks in because it's just not feasible for what the stipulations are for us. So, but we do have a couple new events this year that we're excited about, and so our budget proposal for this year was $113,000. Just so it is an increase from last year, but that is what we are. That's why is our table situation.
Questions?
I don't know that I have any questions. I know that the Fair King and Queen were here on Thursday. They're very excited about the fun run or the 5K. I know that there's always a lot of excitement about the fair, and the 4-H'ers work every year to get to the point of the fair.
We were informed by Grace, our county agent, that the pre-enrollment numbers are up by 500. So usually there's a little bit of decline because 4-H'ers are ambitious and all the numbers don't come in, but we are excited to have more exhibits hopefully and see that the fair is growing from a 4-H aspect as well. So we want to make sure that we have the ability to support them and their display. So one thing that we're also doing is we are trying to utilize some of their deli tables, which still puts us in a table bind, but we're collecting different boxes and trying to find different riser situations so we can use less tables. But it is, the tables are going to be an issue. The last 3 years we've seen a decline in the availability of tables, and we've made it work until this year. And like I said, we're borrowing some this year, but next year the table situation will be an issue for us.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We do have Marley here. She has some pancake feed tickets for the commissioners and would like to invite you to. She's one of our up and coming 4-H'ers. Go ahead. She was excited about it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Yep.
You have to smile though. There you go. Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We hope to see you at the fair.
All right. Last but not least, Parks and Recreation. Not least budgetarily.
That's a tough act to follow.
Yeah.
Tim Laurent, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. Let's see here. So I've tried to pare this down a little bit so that be respectful of your time. So I'm going to jump right into the budget request. So our 2027 request is just a little under $20 million. It's a $662,742 increase over our current budget. That's 3.45%. We sort of view this as just a sort of maintaining our budget because we're not really adding any additional services or hiring any additional staff. This is really just maintaining where we are now. Why are the costs going up? Why are we asking for the additional funds? I mean, the biggest driver is personnel costs, which I'm sure you're hearing as folks come up here with their presentations. The other big driver is utilities, electricity, water, natural gas. I didn't put our trash and that on there because I didn't know if Bill Sutton was going to be in here and I didn't want to offend him, but that's on there too. You know, electricity, water, natural gas have gone up significantly since 2020, really. I mean, that's when that's really started. But we're looking like we're probably going to be moving money around this year to cover some of these costs. So we are asking for the increase. And then last but not least is our contractual mowing services. We're not contracted to make this change. This is just anticipated based over the last few years and some requests that we've gotten with gas prices being up and things like that. I think you're going to see some of that, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. Personnel costs, again, it's, you know, of our entire budget, a little over $11 million is personnel. That's about 57% of our budget. And it covers our full-time staff and our part-time staff. And as you know, in the summertime, we can have upwards of over 500 part-time staff, so it's a pretty big operation. Insurance, I know that Jennifer has talked about this, that the insurance rates have gone up, so that's included in this as well. Again, okay, so utilities, electricity has averaged about a 3.74% increase, but Evergy back in, I think it was the fall of 2025, put a base rate increase of 9.6%. So that has really jumped. Water and sewer combined up almost 8% since 2020. And natural gas, well, back up on the water, I think that actually that there is discussion of that going up even more this year. So we'll see what plays out with the city of Topeka. And then natural gas, a big jump, up 8.6% since 2020. So we are struggling to stay on top of those things. I put these pretty pictures on here. It takes a lot of these utilities to run our aquatic facilities and light our ball diamonds and all the electricity that we use across our system. So it's a big expense for us. Contractual mowing, I mentioned that. We're estimating this going up significantly. But just to give you a little context, you know, this covers over 1,200 acres. We've got 114 different parcels that are that we manage. And that they mow, and it's about 45% of our total mowing acreage that we maintain, I should say. It's a big part of our operation. We average over $137,000 a month paying for contracted mowing. That's $1.6 million a year. And I just want to point out that they don't just mow. They're really managing these park areas for us. They're picking up trash, limb removal, leaf management in the fall. They're seeding, fertilization, weed pest control, and then we contract out a lot of our sports field management. So it is a big part of it. Even though it is expensive, I think in the long run this saves us some money from being, otherwise we'd have to hire a lot of more staff and have a lot more equipment to accomplish what we're doing now. So it's a big chunk of our budget, but it's highly important. And I think in the long run, it does save us money.
Tim?
Yeah.
I thank you for that. This has been a change within the last decade. I mean, We used to buy a lot more mowers. We
Right.
had a lot larger footprint for our staffing. We shifted to contracting out more of our, at that point, we weren't buying the equipment, we're not maintaining the equipment, we're not having to have shop people for the equipment, we're not paying the benefits and the overtime and the health insurance and everything else
Yes.
that would go with that. My question is, are we right fit for the contracted services, or should we look at contracting out more of our mowing?
Well, I think that, I personally feel like we have fine-tuned this quite a bit since I've been here. And just to give you some context, we've got a presence at Gage Park, we've got a presence at Lake Shawnee, and that's where our staff does most of their work, excluding the ball diamonds at the lake. We don't do that, the Bettis complex. So what the point being that we don't want to be driving all over town with our staff. So we kind of stay in those areas, radiate out from those two areas, and then fill in everywhere else with the contract mowing. So I think this works well. I think that what we're discussing as far as mowing, the changes that we've been talking about making, is moving into and purchasing some of the robotic mowers. And I think, for instance, I think on our ball diamonds, that would work really well in some cases. I think at Bettis and in Vista, I think it would work really well. We've got staff in that area, so we could get those going in the morning. We'd have people around doing other things. I'd be a little bit hesitant to go put this at a standalone ball at McDonald Field, for example, because we don't have anybody around. And I'm nervous about somebody tampering with these robotic mowers when we're not there. I understand they have a pretty robust security system as part of their operation, but where I see us maybe saving some money in the short term is we'd have to purchase those mowers, but once we had made that initial investment, we could probably reduce some of the contractual mowing that we're doing and save a little money that way. So I'm not sure I answered your question. I think you were asking me about cutting some of our staff and going to more contract. I sort of like where we're at.
Okay.
I like having control over some of our most popular and well-attended areas like Lake Shawnee and Gage, that we've got a little bit better level of control when we're doing it. I don't mean that as a slight against our contractors. They're doing a great job by and large. So hopefully I answered your question.
Thank you.
So just some of the things that we're doing, like I mentioned earlier, this is just sort of a service level preservation. This doesn't mean that we won't offer new programs and other things, but we're not asking for more money to expand in those areas. But we will continue to try new programs and try to find out what the folks here in Shawnee County want to see and want to participate in. These are some great photos here of the Garden Grooves program that we did at Lake Shawnee with the Topeka Symphony Orchestra. That cost us virtually nothing. We got sponsorships to help pay for the orchestra, and and we don't generate any revenue off of this either. It's been free, but it didn't cost us anything to do. It's been very, very popular. We're getting over 400 people at every one of these performances. So that's a good example of doing something, I think, pretty impactful and innovative without really spending any money to get it done. We did, as you look through our budgets, you'll notice that our administrative section of the budget increased by quite a bit. That's because we moved all of our utility budgets into that budget. Just trying to get a better handle on it and being able to monitor things a little bit easier. As it stands now in 2026, those are spread out amongst several budgets. We hope this will make it a little bit easier for us at the administrative level to track and hopefully find some ways to save money in the future. And then we haven't talked about it as part of this presentation as of yet, but our revolving funds continue to do very well. camp, the campground, and golf. So those have worked extremely well, continue to work very well. They're self-sustaining. As we go through our master plan process, it's been interesting to hear from some of the folks that have been involved in that, and how well they think these revolving funds are serving Shawnee County, as opposed to what they've seen in other communities. So that's it on my budget presentation. I'm ready to jump into the CIP plan unless you guys have any questions before we sort of shift gears.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, here, this is the CIP. I'll sort of run through this relatively quickly. Please interrupt me if you've got questions. DK Clark Park is a new addition. As you know, we've acquired some property and we want to develop this park. I had hoped to, this is an estimate. It's not, we don't have finite numbers, but we do have a pretty good idea of what is probably going to end up in that park. And we think this number would accomplish that. We are working with one of our playground manufacturers, and they're going to put together, they're working on a little plan right now and sort of showing how these things might fit onto that parcel, and we'll have a better idea what that cost is probably within the next 2 weeks. Unfortunately, we just couldn't get it for today. That's in 2027. We'd like to do that. I'm going to cover 2027 here first. The Adventure Cove parking lot, that's the big parking lot that also serves as a little bit of overflow for the Bettis complex. That really needs a mill and overlay process. We think that's going to run us about $175,000. So for 2027, that's $625,000 worth of projects. If you move to 2028, we've got the Shunga and Land and Trail repairs, and Lake Shawnee Shelter House. The Shunga and Land and Trail, that does not include anything that might transpire with the addition of some additional land and trail. We are talking with the gentlemen that are maintaining about 12.5 or 12.7 miles of trail that we don't maintain, and they'd like to see Shawnee County take that over. We're going to take a little tour of that trail here within the next couple of weeks and try to get a better idea of what that may cost. This just talks about making repairs to the existing property that we own. And then Lake Shawnee Shelter House number 5 is by far in the worst shape of any of our shelters out there. It needs needs to be replaced, quite frankly. Parking lot needs a lot of work, and the shelter itself is pretty bad. Moving on to 2029. Holiday Park renovation, adding a dog park to Family Park. If I had any of these that I would like to move up and do a little bit sooner, that would probably be one of them. We've talked about that ever since we did Family Park, but I'm trying to space this out because I know we don't have unlimited funds. 2030 Crestview Community Center refresh. We've done Oakland Community Center. We did Hillcrest Community Center. We think Crestview is the next on that list for a refresh. And that is it. I don't have anything slated for 2031. So any questions about anything on that page? Yeah.
So, obviously it seems like construction expenses go up every year. When we did Hillcrest, I was like $800,000.
I think a little less than that, but yeah, pretty close.
It was pretty high.
Yeah.
And I know we did some extra things with the basketball court and that kind of stuff, but $350,000 4 years from now probably is not going to get you a whole lot at Crestview. And I know that like those bathrooms probably need to be upgraded. The lighting, the paint,
Yeah.
Just that kind of thing, even the roof maybe, are things that we're going to have to look at. $350,000 doesn't seem like much to get that done in future dollars especially.
I think there's a little bit of difference on what we did at Hillcrest as compared to what we say we did at Oakland. Hillcrest required a significant amount of work on the front of the building. The water had gotten behind the brick facade, and we had to replace a lot of that. And so it really drove that price up. That was a big part of that. We were able to go into Oakland for this price, around this amount, probably actually less, and do quite a bit. You know, some of it we'll do with our own staff, some of the painting, that sort of stuff. But I would say that you're probably right. I mean, if by the time we get to 2030, who knows? Who knows what that building will be like at that time, and you could see that number go up.
Okay, the other thing that appears to be missing from this is the Shawnee North Community Center. Or is that a separate slide?
It's got it on a separate slide.
Okay.
Before we get to that, we'll jump to Gage Park sales tax projects. This first one on here, carousel building renovation, you just approved, so we can strike that one from the list. I left it up here just because, for transparency's sake. The next one is a new project. It's not something new to all of us. We know this is needed to be done, but we have been working with the Gage Park Improvement Authority, who funded a stormwater study for the park that included looking at the dam. That didn't cost the county anything. That didn't come out of our funds. Actually, the city of Topeka helped pay for part of that project. They're getting back to us, the engineers that have worked on this project, with this estimate of about somewhere between 1.3 and 1.7 million. I put 1.5. We won't know for sure until we get into it. But this is something that, as we all know, this dam has been leaking. We made some, I don't want to call them repairs because the dam is still obviously leaking. But we managed to redirect that water and get it off the sidewalk and get it in the storm drain. But what really needs to happen is that Westlake Pond will need to be drained down, probably to empty or almost empty. And that dam will need to be constructed, torn out and reconstructed. We've factored into this cost what it will take to remove the mini train tracks and then put them back in. There'll be some elevation changes and some things that we'll have to accommodate through that process. It can be done. We're not gonna not be able to put the mini train back. So it's a big project. It's one that I think, my personal opinion is something that we really do need to get done. Snyder's Cabin, we've talked about that many times. Was an open air shelter. Walls were placed around it. We've got uneven surfaces in there. We've got air and animals and all kinds of things coming into the building from underneath, from around the foundation. It's in bad shape, so we'd like to see that replaced. The accessible ball diamond is not in good shape. This price is to essentially go over the existing structure with a sport cork product. We did this at Hillcrest in, I think, 2018. I wasn't here. I started in 2019 on the outdoor futsal courts at Hillcrest. Has held up beyond my wildest imagination. If someone were to say, let's do this now, and I didn't have that to look at, I would say, I don't feel great about that. It has really worked out great there, and it gets a lot of use and abuse. So we think that would be a good fix, because otherwise, I think we're in a situation where we'll need to dig that up and replace it with post-tension concrete, and that's going to be significantly more than that cost. So we think this is, we would go in and fill all the cracks and then put this over the top And hopefully that would last us quite a while. Something does need to be done, though. We're getting to the point where the cracks in the concrete there are big enough that, you know, we're wanting people with disabilities and people in wheelchairs to be able to come out and use this space. And that's not happening right now. So, or at least we want to make sure it's safe for everybody. Jumping ahead, I've only got a couple more on here. Rose Garden refresh. 2030 is a big anniversary. What is it, 100 years? I can't remember how many years it is now, 100 years for the Rose Garden. And so we know we're going to have a celebration at that time. We want to make sure everything looks great there. A lot of this funding would go into redoing the pergolas and things at the end of the Rose Garden. I don't know if any of you have been to the Rose Garden this year. Spectacular. The staff that are doing work there, and I know it hasn't been that way every year. So they're doing just such good work right now, and we want to make sure that by 2030 we're ready to have a big party out there.
Tim, it's kind of a side note to that. I would like to see us move towards having that Rose Garden put on the state of Kansas register of historic landscape sites.
Sure.
There's darn few of them in Kansas, but that's one that should probably be.
I would agree with you. I can't imagine a situation where that would not qualify.
No.
That place is spectacular. And then the last part of this is Westlake shelter renovation. Not a full tear down and rebuild like we want to do at Snyder's Cabin. Just going in there, doing some tuck pointing, putting a new roof on there, cleaning that up a little bit. That shelter is very, very popular. Rented all the time. And with the renovations we're making to Playland, it's only going to get busier. So want to make sure that we get that cleaned up. Any questions on Gage Park?
Yes. And I'm going to sit back down to do it. So, I guess multiple questions. The Westlake Dam, is that something that can be done over the winter time?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the plan. That
Okay.
we would try to do this and have the least impact on users. But I will say that we'll be a little bit at the mercy when spring rolls around. We're going to want rain.
Yeah, you need rain to fill it up. I got it.
It's going to take a little while to get it filled back up.
Okay.
I think when it's drained, it'd be a good time to look at the boat dock there too.
We've talked about dredging. We talked about trying to clean things up a little bit while we've got it drained.
You're gonna find all kinds of things.
I'm a little nervous about it.
Also, on the Snyder Cabin replacement, if we're gonna build a new cabin, is that the right place to do it? I mean, or do we want to, at the same time, maybe build one by Westlake? It seems like Snyder's Cabin is pretty isolated from the rest of the park. It's kind of up in the southwest corner. And so, I mean, is that the right place? If we're going to
Yep.
build a new cabin,
Yep.
I mean, maybe we drop it somewhere else. Is that?
I think that's a great question. I've got two comments. One, we've already got a road leading to it and a parking lot. So there's a lot of cost savings there by just rebuilding on that same spot. And then the other thing I would say is that with all the changes that we're making to the carousel building and trying to really make that sort of the hub of Gage Park, the Snyder's Cabin's a stone throws away from that location. So I think you rent Snyder's Cabin for your birthday party, you walk over to the carousel building, you jump on the mini train. I think it'll be a great spot by the time we get done what we're currently working on.
Okay.
And it's very popular. And one of the reasons is because of its size and its cost.
Yeah, so it doesn't cost a lot.
It's not super expensive, and we want to keep it that way. I haven't done any plans to tell you how long it will take to recoup that kind of money, but my guess is it would not be, it'll take some time, obviously, but it'll happen. I mean, It's one of our most popular shelters.
Well,
That is a building that would need to be replaced because
Yes.
it's well beyond renovation. And just to give you the history of it, it was an open-air shelter at one time. The floor in it, I don't think there's even footings under the walls. They
Yeah,
were slapped
it's-
up there years
it's
ago in the
uneven
60s or
now.
so. And it needs to be scraped and start over.
The other thing you mentioned, just the usage of the cabins. One of our more popular ones also is the little house in Animal Land.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what's the condition of that? Is it gonna need some repairs at some point also?
It's actually in pretty good shape. We'll show that on our master plan when we get that done. They've evaluated that location. I was actually with them when they went through that building. I mean, it's, you know, it shows a little wear and tear, but structurally and everything, it's fine. I don't know if you've been in there recently or.
It's been a while,
Yeah,
couple
I mean,
years at least.
it's about my height. It's good height for me. You know, it's not, it's kind of, I feel tall in there. It's kind of a weird feeling when you go in there, but, I think it's in good shape.
Okay, and then the Rose Garden, 750,000 seems like a pretty high price on that. I remember we redid the pergola at Lake Shawnee just a few years
Yeah,
ago, and it was significantly less than that.
Yeah.
What comes along with that?
I will tell you one of the things that is a big part of this, which is up for debate. It may change before we get to 2028. We had them come in and basically give us a cost to concrete all the walkways, you know, so that everything would be concrete. There'd be curbs around the beds. It would be great for the people that come in and visit. I think it would make some things a little bit harder for the staff to maintain the grounds. So I think there's a real active debate within our department whether that's a good thing or not. And it is expensive, so that would be one of the big reasons for this. That could come out of there, which would reduce that by quite a bit.
I think the pond's probably,
The pond, we had talked about moving, you know, there was a fountain at the front by the pergola, and it was so loud that we would get complaints that if you're having your wedding or you're up there, that no one could hear anything because of the fountain. And it was also a maintenance issue. We were constantly having problems. We removed it. The thought was we could drain that pond, put that fountain in the middle of the pond, have a little bit of a water feature. That's also, the cost of that is included in this. But like I said, I think this could change before we get to doing it. By the time we come around next year for our budget presentation.
And those pathways right now, are they crushed limestone
They
or
are.
something like that? Okay.
They are. And they work. I mean, I think they work fine. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, we were told for quite a while that that's a maintenance issue but the staff we've got over there right now that are doing the work, it doesn't seem to be hampering them. I mean, things look great. And so we'll debate that.
Okay. And then also, as the Rose Garden, I believe they have a little maintenance shed that
We do.
looks like it could maybe need to be replaced at some point too.
It works
Down
well.
there.
It used to be restrooms, you know, and it's been converted into a maintenance shed. And yeah, we haven't talked about that. We've had talk, I know with my advisory board over, it hasn't been recently, but about converting those back into restrooms. I don't think we really would need to do that, and we would lose. It's nice for them to have that building there. They've got a lot of equipment. And with the renovation of the carousel building, I don't think that would be necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Last slide, CIP bond projects. For a cool 40 million, 41 million, we could do all of these. I understand that won't happen. I didn't space them out because I talked about this last year. I just want to have this discussion and then we can decide what, if any of these we think can be done. I will try. I won't spend a lot of time going through them, so there's time for questions. I will say on the Cypress Ridge Clubhouse project, We had 7 firms submit design proposals. We've gone through those proposals, sent out follow-up questions to those firms, and I'm going to set up a meeting with Selection Services Committee to try to narrow that down on who we want to go with, and then come up before this board and ask permission to do those designs. Very exciting project, one that I think is extremely important for Cypress Ridge. Grange Hall, we've been talking about that for some time. I know Commissioner Rippon has made some changes to the design, has also worked very closely with the Friends of Ward Meade. There's private funds available in addition to this that I think we could get this project done.
I think that number's wrong in there. That's 200,000 K. It should be 2 million.
Yes, I'm sorry, it is wrong. I'm sorry. I fixed all the rest of them. Josh helped me, but we missed that one, I guess. Yeah, it's 200 million.
I think. Wait, no.
I mean, 2 million. Sorry, 2 million.
I think
That's one heck of a saloon.
2 million.
I'm definitely a no on that.
$2 million. Plus, I think the Friends of Ward Meade have about somewhere between $500,000 and $700,000 to add to it. So, yes, I apologize for that. Dornwood, $1 million. That would finish some of the projects that we've discussed for many years. We have been making improvements there annually, and I think that complex, quite honestly, is in pretty good shape. Would I like to finish the plan? Absolutely. That's renovating the remaining fields, changing the entrance a little bit, but it would really spruce up the rest of that complex. Shawnee South improvements, 1.5 million. We discussed this briefly. That's adding a fitness trail in there, a new shelter, a new outdoor restroom, pickleball courts, 2 pickleball courts. We are going to, this month, put in a basketball court, so that should be done this month. So that wouldn't be part of this. But that would be a significant improvement for that park in a location where, quite honestly, we haven't done a lot over the last few years. So it'd be nice to see something happen out at Shawnee South. Ted Inslee refresh, that number, yeah, $1,050,000. Okay. We have done a lot at Lake Shawnee since I've been here, but we really haven't put a lot into Ted Inslee Gardens. I mean, the volunteers and the staff do a great job there, but there's some things that I think it's time to put a little money into Ted Inslee. It is a jewel of Shawnee County. It's the jewel of Lake Shawnee, and it needs some attention. I know that some of their ponds need a little bit of work. There's some of the paths that need work. It just needs a refresh, and something that I think we need to keep at the top of the heap. When people come to Topeka and they come to Lake Shawnee, they want to visit Ted Inslee Gardens. And I think we owe it to ourselves and to them to try to make sure it's in tip-top shape. Shawnee North Community Center. So that's a guess. It's $20 million. We don't have any designs. We haven't sat down and talked about exactly what we want to see. I know the staff, we've talked about it quite a bit. We'd like to see a complex that has at least 2 gymnasiums in it, walking track, classroom space, fitness room space. But this would be a modern recreation center in every sense, not necessarily a community center. Now, you can do everything in a modern recreation center that we're currently doing in a community center. So we're not going to lose anything, but we're going to gain a lot by doing something that's a little newer and adds a lot of recreational opportunities. West Edge Road, Mill and Overlay. Director Niehaus is not in here, so we could talk about giving him this project if you guys want to, since he's not in the room.
You know, I see that as a road, and
I know, it is a road.
I think it probably should be under public works.
And I'm not kidding about Kurt, I'm kind of, but it isn't I don't know that Parks and Recreation are the best people to be doing road work. And there are homes on this road. I mean, this isn't just a private park road. It's extremely important to the park. And there are sections of it that are only park, but there's a good portion of it that is residential.
Why wouldn't it be?
Unless it falls within the parkland.
Tecumseh Township, or is that?
I was just wondering, is it an official county road, or?
If you look on the GIS, the county's GIS site, they've got a layer on there where you can pick whose responsibility these roads are. I don't know who set all of that, but it is definitely our Shawnee County Parks and Recreation comes up as the folks that are responsible. There's a section of it down by the flats that has been redone. That is not our responsibility. It's the township's responsibility, if I remember right. It's been a while since I looked at that, but that's been done. The rest of it hasn't. Visitor Center at Old Prairie Town. So we did do some designs here a year and a half ago or so. So that number is fairly realistic. I think I talked about this last year, and I won't go too far into it. I will say that if we were to do this project, that we don't have a finalized design. We had some concepts, and one concept was to make it look old and match the other buildings. The other concept was to not do that and make it clearly stand out as a visitor's entryway. I would go either way. I just think that having somewhere that when you walk into that complex, that you know this is where I go, and there's somebody in there to greet me and talk to me about what's at the park and what you can do and what you can't do, I think would be great. So we could decide later what that looks like, and the administration office and myself don't feel strongly either way. We just want to see some sort of entry into the park. And then last but not least, this has been on here for a while, the Lake Shawnee, it says bathhouse, that's a mistake, boathouse. That is, we're just missing out on an opportunity there. You know, that building could be spectacular, and it is on the prime real estate at Lake Shawnee. Whatever we did, there's been talk about turning it into a restaurant. There's been talk about just a rentable facility. Whatever it is, I think it would be very, very popular. It's a beautiful spot, and we do have the Rowing Association working out of that building. So it's not completely going to waste, but it is vastly underutilized. So with that, I'll turn it over to any questions.
Questions?
Just a thought, I know going back to your Gage Park.
Yeah.
I don't see on here anything about the theater, Helen Hawker. When the addition of the K. McFarland Gardens came about, that really took away almost all the parking that Helen Hawker had been utilizing, and really it's a very cramped space now. And I know that we've had some informal discussions about possibly relocating Helen Hawker at some point, and some discussion about the upgrade of the amphitheater at Gage Park, and maybe kind of co-locating those two together. What about, and again, I know this is sacred ground for many, many, many people, but if Helen Hawker was to go to Lake Shawnee at the boathouse, it would still be theater in a park, but it would be a new opportunity for the Parks and Recreation with some camps, maybe having some of the camps go to be at Lake Shawnee.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not something that I've thought about or that we've discussed, but you're right, there's gonna need to be a decision made about Helen Hawker. And you're also right that it's sort of sacred ground for a lot of people. And so I don't know how something like that would be received amongst the Helen Hawker folks. But, yeah.
I'll push back on that some. I think there's a couple of reasons why Gage Park is the better place for it. I think the management of Helen Hawker is currently done by Topeka Civic Theater. Proximity to Topeka Civic Theater makes a lot of sense to have it within, I don't know, what is that, less than a mile probably from their home base. Moving it out to Lake Shawnee, I think there's a likelihood that they would no longer want to do that. Also, I think just the tradition of having it there, I think, is good because there is some interaction, I think, between the theater camps and the Back to Nature camps as well. I think they kind of work together a little bit. And honestly, I've suggested for a while that we somehow partner with the Kansas Children's Discovery Center for Helen Hawker. I think that there are some really cool things that they could do in partnership together with children's theater. And so, I mean, I think Gage Park still is the right place for it. I don't know that that building is the right place for it. I think that there's something that we're going to have to look at eventually, relocating them somewhere in the park to, maintain that programming for, years to come in a better facility than what they've got.
Yeah.
And I agree with you completely with all of the comments you made. I think Helen Hawker makes a lot of sense being in Gage Park. I was just looking at when you bring up Lake Shawnee and the bathhouse. Is there a possibility there? Helen Hawker in its current state, again, my children very greatly, I enjoy going to Helen Hawker for their shows. I think it serves an essential part of the theater community, and I don't want to see it go away. I want to protect Helen Hawker and make sure that everybody understands that's important. But what we look at is the building is in need of some serious structural upgrades. The building is in need of some serious electrical upgrades. And it's, it's just showing its age. I mean, it wasn't designed as a theater, it was designed as being the bathhouse, and then adapted into a theater. Bill probably did that.
I did not.
There's a project you didn't do.
Yeah. I've lived around Gage Park, just lived and breathed that for years. I've always thought the location should be where the old tennis courts are. It's close to the amphitheater, and they use the amphitheater a lot during their camps. Yeah. And it's close to Westlake Shelter, which they use for their camps. And you have a parking lot that's not used in the evening when they would have plays. You have the carousel there and the pool, and they utilize that parking lot in the daytime hours, but not in the evenings. So I've always thought that would be a good location, and I don't know, just my thoughts. I'll throw that in there.
That's where we currently show it being relocated when that happens. I just wanted to answer real quickly about why it's not on this list. It's definitely on our minds, and we've talked about it many, many times within the master plan. It's not on this list because, and I think Jennifer will appreciate this answer, we're thinking about funding, and we don't, while that sales tax money continues to come in, we can't do everything we want to do right now. We got to space it out a little bit so we can pay for it all, and that would be a big project. That's why I think we try to accomplish these things on this list, and then we turn our attention to that one, because that to me is the big one. And I just want to say publicly right now too, we don't, even though we've got this sales tax money coming in, and it's been a real blessing, it's been fantastic what we've already been able to do. We have no plans to go in and put something in every part of the green space in Gage Park. We're not going to fill it up with things just because we could. I think you do these projects, you do the Helen Hawker removal or relocation, And, you know, by that time, sure, there's gonna be some things that pop up here and there, parking lots and different things that need to be redone and road work and things like that. But by and large, you've kind of hit the high points, and then you could start shifting that money to more to operations than you do new facilities and new structures. We are, don't get me wrong, we are currently using this money for a lot of, everything we do there, basically. I shouldn't say everything. I should say maybe 90% of what we do there, we're using Gage Park's money, Gage Park sales tax money, whether that's building the carousel building or, you know, repairing a fence that got damaged. We're not paying staff, and we're not buying equipment at this point, although maybe we have. You could start to transition into that once you get all these projects done, but we're just a ways away from that, and that's a different discussion. But that's why it's not on the list. I think it's gonna be the next really expensive, well, these are expensive, but that's gonna be more than this.
Could you go back to the next slide?
Yeah. There you go.
So you've got the old Prairie Town, you've got the Grange Hall, and then you also have the Visitor Center. Is there a reason why we couldn't just combine those into one project?
Only because I think the Visitor Center would be located so that it was the first thing you saw and that you came to when you walked in. The Grange Hall is sort of inside the park a little further. Could we do it? Sure, and we have actually talked about it. But that's why currently we have them separated.
Okay.
But yeah, the Grange Hall design that we had originally, and I think this is still in there, has like a little office in the front of it. And that could serve as that visitor center, if it's still there. I know we've been moving things around a little bit, but, so you could do it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Tim, and we're going to take a break till 1:30, and then we're going to start off with the appraiser's office and the register of deeds, public works, solid waste department, weed department, land use development, and the election office. But take a break till then and go find something to eat.
Thank you, guys.